Hi guys, Shelby here from the Lions Automobilia. Today we are with our special guest, Larry Wood. He is one of the original designers from Hot Wheels. Larry, can you tell us about how you got into Hot Wheels?
Well, I was looking for a job. I came out from Detroit because the snow was too bad in Detroit. So I came out here looking for a job. I got invited to a party. And then when I was at the party, one guy says, I said, what do you do? And he says, oh, I work at Mattel and I work in Hot Wheels and they're looking for a designer. I said, hey, I'll do that for a while till I can find a real job, you know?
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd be there 50 years, but you never know.
So out of all of the cars that you have designed, do you have a favorite one?
There's a couple ways to answer that question. Number one, my favorites are my own cars. I like doing my own cars. But I also have favorites that because the collectors like them. There's a couple cars that the collectors just got to have. And so when I go to conventions and stuff, oh, will you sign this and all that. So the collector cars are as good as my regular cars.
So what kind of hot rods do you have?
Well, right now I got a 33 Ford two-door sedan chopped. I got a 1932 Nash with a big block in it. I've got a 1951 Woody LS motor. I'm building a chopped Model A with a Mazda Miata motor, and I'm building a 52 Jaguar with a LS in it. So I got my projects that keep me busy. You know, back in Connecticut, we lived on Route 9, next to Route 9, which is where all the cars went to the beach. And the cars going to the beach were in the 50s. They were the wild colors and the fins and all this crazy stuff. So it was really neat seeing cars. So I got a little interest in cars. My mom was an artist, so I was drawing, and I'd do a few drawings of cars and everything. But then one day my dad brought home a hot rod magazine. And I opened it up and I realized, oh man, these guys in California are building these cool cars. They're not made by the factory. They're all customs and they're hot rods and big engines and everything. That changed my life. From that point on, I built hot rods. I always wanted to build a hot rod. I always wanted to live in California, and I always wanted to draw hot rods. I got the perfect job.
Can you kind of explain to us the process of how it comes from your sketch to a Hot Wheels on the shelf?
Yeah, when back in my day, when before computers and everything, I would do a drawing. I would find the car, and then I would take photographs and everything, or measure it, whatever I wanted to do. Then I would have to do a side view, a top view, front view, and a rear view to the size I wanted it. Then I would send that to the model shop, and they would hand carve a piece of wood the shape of the car, and that would be the pattern. Now that was 4 times up, so it was about this big, and then we would send that to, at the time it was Hong Kong, and they would make molds and bring it down to the actual size. So it was a long step. Now it's all computers, so there's you don't have anything except for the couple of sketches to get the ideas going. From then on, it's all computers.
So you had mentioned before that you had worked with Don Prudhomme, the Snake. Everybody knows him, drag racing legend. Can you tell us a little bit about working with him?
I was at Mattel one day, and they came in and said, we're going to sponsor a couple funny cars. And funny cars were just starting to go, and I had been to Lions watching funny cars and everything, and I thought, hey, this is going to be pretty cool. But I got down and met those two guys, the two characters, and I'll tell you what, that was really fun working with them. I didn't do the actual car, the real car. I did the toy version of the real car, but I got to meet Don and worked with McEwen all the time, and it was just fantastic. And through the years, those two guys changed everything. Kids would go to the drag strip and drag their parents to the drag strip, and the sales went way up. These guys really made a big difference in the Hot Wheels stuff, so they went way up. So I've done basic cars, which cost $1, and they cost $1 in 1969, so what else is the same price, right? This is the basic car. You get a body and a chassis and a window, and you can get this car for 99 cents or $1, something like that. And then through the years, we've done collector cars, and this one here is my favorite. This was the Snake Legend of Life, and the batteries are dead on this, but when it ran, the body lifted up, the engine turned over, the exhaust showed, the Christmas tree went down, the wheels turned, and this was probably my funnest toy that I did at Mattel all the time. And I put myself in the background, which was true. I was at Lions plenty of times, so there I am. So this was the height of working with little toys.
But you have full versions of these cars, correct?
Yes, every one of these cars I had as a full-size real car. Every one of them has got a story. This is my Nash that I have now, and of course the Woody that I have now, and the sedan I have now. Actually, here's the sedan. But in Detroit, I had this car and this car. This was the car I won in a contest of Popular Mechanics magazine, I won a brand new truck out of there. This is the Corvette I drove cross country, and these are just some of the cars I've had through the years. So, and I've had more than these. I'm still trying to find a die-cast car of every one I've owned.
So now that you're retired from Hot Wheels, do you still do some drawings and work on cars?
Actually, all of a sudden I'm real busy. I've been getting a lot of people. All of a sudden I'm getting people that want drawings of their old Hot Wheels. And I said, sure, I'll draw an old Hot Wheel, no problem. But in the last 6 months, all of a sudden I've been starting to get calls and people wanting drawings. So it's pretty cool to be still drawing Hot Wheels.
So how did you learn to draw cars the way that you do?
Well, my mom was an artist, and it kind of came natural to me. Perspective was never a problem, and drawing, just pencil drawings and stuff. In high school, of course. In fact, one teacher asked me, "What's your favorite class?" And I said, "Algebra." And she says, "Why?" And I said, "Because the paper has no lines on it. I can draw cars on it." It was not a big hit when I said that, but I would draw all my buddies' hot rods and everything. And of course, like I said, the '50s cars had fins and these wild colors and everything. So I would add bigger fins to 57 Ford, or do an old Plymouth, and then I'd add bullet grills because George Barris did that, and I'd do this and I'd do that. So I basically learned on my own, and of course when I went to Art Center, they slapped my wrist and said, "This is how you do it." And of course you learn from that point. You really learned how to do it from there.
So what are you doing in your spare time now that you're retired?
I don't have spare time. I have projects. Look at all these projects in here. If I'm not swapping a motor, I did 5 engine swaps in the last 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
And then I chopped the top on the Model A. We pulled the body off of the Jaguar. I had to do a little repair on the Nash the other day, and the hot rod had a little problem. So I'm down here 8 hours a day working on my toys.
And I heard on one of your toys you're popping wheelies down the street.
Oh yeah, my trike, that thing is so much fun. I didn't expect it to do a wheelie. I had to put a wheelie bar on it because it kept going up in the air, and I kept thinking, I'm going to go over on my head. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was fun.
So do you spend all your weekends going to car shows now?
I've always gone to car shows. I mean, from day one, I would go even before, in Detroit and everywhere else. And then when I became the Hot Wheel guy, I would go probably more for myself, but I also did the research. You'd see a car and say, we haven't done that car. Why not? And then when I became to do the collector line, the Lion Strike Strip was my goal. I got to do the Snake and the Mazmanians cars. I did Greer Black and Perdon's Dragster. I did all the cool cars that ran at Lions. So that was kind of fun.
So were you able to meet any of your racing legends when you did their cars?
The funny thing was, when I was back in the 50s, and 60s, when I was reading Hot Rod magazine, I'd hear about all these guys. And my job was to go find them and ask them about their cars and go find their cars and take photographs. Batmobile with George Barris, that was pretty cool. Perdome, I helped do the original funny cars and dragsters. So I got to meet all the heroes. I actually worked for Dean Jeffries for a little while, just a little freelance work and stuff. So I got to meet all the cool guys.
That's
was fun.
awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
So out of all the cars you've done, have you done any that set a trend?
Well, Hot Wheels in the beginning had to have tires stick out of the sides of the car, because when around the track, it would rub. If it rubbed the body, it would slow down. But with the tire sticking out there, it would go around the track real good. And there were collectors out there. So I did a 49 Merc, we called it the Purple Passion. I lowered it down, I put full skirts on it, and I pulled the wheels in. So technically it wouldn't work on the track. I said, let's see what happens. It sold great. And it was one of the most popular cars out there for collectors. And all of a sudden we realized, now we got collectors. And that's when the thing took off. I mean, Hot Wheels doubled in a couple of years.
So now that you're retired, do you ever have the feeling of kicking up your feet and just watching the cars get by?
No, I'm too busy. These things are the things that got me where I want, and they give me fun to build things. I mean, I'm building parts every day. I built a floor for the Model A yesterday, and I'm playing with trying to put the LS in there. So every day I'm playing with my hands, and if I'm not doing that, I just feel like I'm missing out. But these are a story is when I was going to high school, I was a lousy student. I wasn't getting anything done or anything. And then one day somebody asked me to do something with my hands, an art teacher or something, and I started getting A's in that class, nowhere else but in that class. So I realized this was what was gonna make my living for me. So that's really pure luck.
Was it even very much like working, as it was just having fun and You're getting paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, there were times, of course, it's like every other job. Sometimes
Yeah.
you get a guy that's your boss that didn't quite work the way you used to work, you know?
Yeah.
So that happened once in a while. But all in all, most of the time they just left me alone. They'll put Larry over in the corner, let him draw cars, you know? Nobody cares, you know? Remember, Barbie was the queen. I mean,
Yeah.
Hot Wheels was this little tiny me over in the corner for 20 years. They didn't care. It was 90% women doing Barbie, and she was making all the money. Guess who's making the money now?
Which is crazy because
Yeah.
growing up when I was a little girl, I played with Hot Wheels. I don't think I ever owned a Barbie.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were mentioning you might have been designing the ones I was playing with.
Yeah, I did all the early ones for 20 years. So yeah, and my kids would play with them, of course, and roll them out in the street and set firecrackers in them and everything. And now that the collectors are paying, you know, $50,000, $60,000 for certain ones, it's like, I wonder if that one was one of the ones they destroyed. You know?
Imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
So, is there anything you would tell your younger self?
I personally would not change anything. I think my wife said words as I brought cars home said we should buy another house. Maybe I should have listened to, so they're going for millions and the cars are going for thousands. So that's about the only change I probably would have made.
So it's safe to say you enjoyed your career.
I definitely wouldn't change anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Larry, thank you for letting
Sure.
us interview you today and coming down to your shop. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Hey guys, Shelby Chrisman here with the Lions Automobilia Foundation Museum. What a great interview we just had with Mr. Larry Wood. To stay updated with the museum and future interviews, like, comment, share, and subscribe.